Hi everyone, I'm Shelly from There's No Place Like Home at redheadmom8.wordpress.com. Today you're going to get one of my rant videos, which do come about every now and then, and they are usually triggered by something that happens that I see maybe in the news or a comment that I hear. And so today's video, which is actually called There Is No Such Thing as a Good Public School, actually came about because I happen to see that the state of Wisconsin has now decided that they are going to give sex education to kindergartners, 5 and 6-year-olds, and I have actually seen the books that they are planning on using with graphic illustrations, and it is just to the point that this is ridiculous. I just was talking in one of my other videos about Orange County, California, who is giving questionable curriculum. They're using it with their students, and they are not allowing parents to opt out. You also hear of this sort of thing going on in Canada, and it is rampant. It is all over the place. And then when I see people say things like, I know that the schools are really bad, and I know what they were really meant for, but thank God my kids go to a good school. And I really, really hate to burst your bubble, but it's not true. There's no such thing as a good public school. And I know that a lot of people are not going to like hearing that, but it's true. Now, is there such a thing as good teachers? Yes, there are lots and lots and lots of good teachers. Is there such a thing as good principals? Yes, there are such a thing as good principals. I also have to say, on the opposite side of the coin, there are also bad teachers and there are bad principals, okay? But let's just push that aside for now. Yes, there is such a thing as good teachers and good principals. But the fact of the matter is that I do not care where your kids go to school at. I don't care if they are in the best school district in your entire state. The fact is that all of the schools in this country were built on the same premise. These schools were formed to they were not formed to educate your kids. They were not formed to make our populace more intelligent. What they were formed for was to condition our population to be able to do as they were told and to be obedient citizens. So, in effect, our schools were actually formed to dumb down the population, because before schools were formed, people were pretty self-sufficient and were able to do everything on their own. You know, they built their own houses and they grew their own food and they made their own clothing. And I could get into this, but I'm not going to get into this today because I already did a video on that. So I'll link that to the bottom if you're interested in the actual history of public education. But suffice it to say that schools in the entire country are built on the premise of dumbing down your children. They are built on the premise of indoctrinating children to follow the mindset that the government or the powers that be want your children to have. And that is being reflected in the curriculum that we see popping up all over the place. And you know what? I happen to know that a lot of times it can be hard to see the negative aspects of the schools when your kids are in a good school district, what is considered to be a good school district. Because again, very often you've got, you know, teachers who are paid more than they are usually paid in the not so good school districts. You have a lot of times better school grounds. I would say probably all the time there are better school grounds. There's more money to go around, you know? So they have better curriculum. A lot of times the kids have their own tablets or laptops that they're able to use at school. There's lots of programs for the arts and everything, and they really make it look good on the outside. But that is as far as it goes, okay? You know that saying, beauty is only skin deep? That goes with schools too. So the fact is that a lot of times people tend to look at the poorer school districts as being the ones that you have to watch out for. No, you have to watch out for all of them. The difference is that you have to actually look a little bit harder in those better school districts, because parents are placated with all of these nice benefits that their kids are getting from these schools. And these things, these motives that are inherent in every school is in your child's school, no matter where they go to school. And, you know, I actually talked about this example in one of my other videos. I have a friend whose grandson goes to a good school. He is in one of the wealthier school districts, and he is in one of those districts that, yeah, people would say, oh, well, my kids are in a good district. Well, he also came home from school with a psychology test that his grandmother read, and one of the questions was, does drinking soda affect the taste of semen? This was on a school test, and he was in a better school district. So I just really need to bring this out into the open to you, that there's no such thing, really. And it bothers me so much that people can't see this, but I know that it took me a long time to understand this, because I loved school, and it really took me a long time just to see that it's everywhere. But that is really the case. And I know that I'm going to get people who comment and tell me that my child received an excellent education when they were in school. And I just want to read you this quote, okay? We want one class to have a liberal education. We want another class, a very much larger class of necessity, to forego the privilege of a liberal education and fit themselves to perform specific, difficult manual tasks. Woodrow Wilson said that. Former President Woodrow Wilson. So what he was saying is that he wants a certain group of people, and not just him, a lot of the minds behind the public school system, they do want a group of kids to have a good liberal education. And by liberal, they don't mean like, you know, leftist education. By liberal, what they meant was, you know, encompassing all sorts of subject areas, which I think liberal is what they're getting anyway, in the other sense of the word. But so yeah, there are going to be kids that you look at as having that education. But the fact of the matter is that the vast majority of the students in the schools are not going to get that, no matter what district they're in. And yeah, there may be more kids in the better school districts that get that liberal education, but again, the vast majority of the population is not going to get that, because they are being conditioned to perform difficult manual tasks, because there are only so many supervisor and management positions out there, aren't there? So I just really want you to think about that. Oh my gosh, this really hits me. So anyway, so getting back to what I was saying before, there are people out there who say all the time that they understand the history of school, and they understand the terrible curriculum that is going through school, and they don't want their kids to have to deal with that, but they send their kids to school anyway. And that's another one of those things. If you see these things that are happening, if you see the dumbing down of our students, if you see what Common Core is doing, if you see all of these immoral things, and you recognize that it's happening, why are you sending your kids back to school? Because apathy is almost as bad as the ones who are perpetrating this to begin with, honestly. Because as the parents of kids, I want you to just feel something. And I know that a lot of you feel anger at this and complain about it, but you still put your kids on that bus every day. So don't just feel something, do something about it. Seriously, don't just complain. And you know what? I would even say, don't even bother calling the school and complaining, because as my other video that I will link below, I said this in that one, the schools are doing what they were already meant to do. They don't care how many parents complain. The entire premise of school does not come from the principal. It does not come from your school district. It comes from those educational bureaucrats all the way at the top government level. It comes down, and it is throughout. So it doesn't matter how much complaining you do. Do something. Please get your kids out of school. It's getting worse and worse every day. And I'm especially calling out Christians. Those schools, they are the equivalent of pagan temples. They really are. And I know that a lot of you think that your kids are going to be able to be lights to other children in the school. But school is not the only place where your kids can be the light to others. Because the fact is that when Jesus sent his disciples out on the Great Commission, they were adults. They were already prepared. They were mature enough to be able to handle things. And sometimes even then, they didn't do all that great, did they? So let's think about this, please. So anyway, that is my rant for today. I really look in, if you haven't heard about what's going on in Wisconsin right now, look it up. It's happening. And I don't even want to say if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, because how can you possibly like what's going on? But anyway, if you haven't subscribed yet and would like to hear more of what I have to say, I would love if you would do that. If you have any questions or comments, please leave one down below. I promise I will get back to you eventually. Sometimes it takes a few days, maybe even a week, because with me working outside of the home now, I'm not always online as much as I would like to be. But anyway, I would love to hear your thoughts on this, and please be kind in the comments. I hope you have a great day.